My name is Mike Ayers. I'm the Executive Director of the Peace Officer Standards and Training Council for the state of Georgia. POST was established in 1970. Georgia, in fact, was the fifth state in the nation to adopt a standardization for law enforcement officers within the country. POST itself is responsible for regulating the certification, training, and conduct of law enforcement officers throughout the state of Georgia. One of the functions that POST does have is not only providing for or awarding a certification based on officers' completion of required training, but is also a responsibility of monitoring that certification and taking steps when appropriate to either modify, suspend, or decertify that officer based on issues involving conduct. When an officer's conduct becomes in question, the agency generally conducts an internal investigation into that officer's conduct and reports that conduct to POST.
Here I come.
When an officer's conduct becomes in question, the agency generally conducts an internal investigation into that officer's conduct and reports that conduct to POST. I do believe that we have a sacred oath and responsibility to the citizens of this state that we get that right, that we hold an officer responsible for their actions, but that we look at this not through hindsight's 20/20 vision, but through the rapid developing and unfolding situation that occurs in that instant when that officer makes that decision. That I think that Georgia probably does the best job in the nation. Georgia decertifies more police officers than any other state in the nation. And it's not because we have worse police officers. It's because we have very high standards. It is incumbent upon us to continue to evolve to meet the needs of our citizens. But it is also the ability of our citizens through democratic free process to establish what they want from their police. That is a good thing. How do we shape up in Georgia? I think we do a very good job with that. Our police officers know exactly what they're getting into. They're trained well, they're equipped well, and most importantly, they're led well in this state.
Wait, let me tell you something. All right. Let me tell you something. Wait.
Yeah, that's not all entirely true. So anyway, welcome to the channel. If you're the first time joining, if you return, thank you for coming back. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a forewarning. I'm probably gonna curse a good bit in here. I'm gonna try my best not to. The ghetto and the hood's gonna come out. I'm gonna apologize for that in advance. But I'm upset, I'm pissed off, and yeah, the frustration and emotions are running high. And any man will tell you that we do a good job of kind of controlling our emotions and holding things in. But at this point, I'm just pissed off. Absolutely pissed off. So these people at the Henry County Superior Clerk Courts and the Henry County Sheriff's Office are just, what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't say tyrants. They're tyrants. They're thieves and some more shit. Like, they just do whatever they want to. So we're gonna just dive off into this paperwork and let me show you what they got going on. All right, so this is the case right here. Case number, you can look up yourself. You log on to Peace Court, sign in, create an account, and all the good stuff like that, right? These are the defendants in the case, yada, yada, yada. We're going to scroll on down to the important part where I need to touch bases with you guys, right? So, Department of Administrative Services, they filed a motion to dismiss, and as well as Henry County and the other defendants within that case. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, right? If you click it, it's going to pull up, not this right here. That's, right? So, in that, let's scroll in, let's go to the top. It's going to pull this up right here, right? So let's scroll on down to where they made an argument that they have not probably been served. So no defendant has been properly served. Process for all defendants raised the lack of personal jurisdiction and defense in this action. Among other issues, the Sheriff's Department is a party in this action, and the service by the deputy is void. So what this is pretty much saying is that the plaintiff paid the Sheriff's Department to serve a summons upon itself, which is pretty much, I won't say it's illegal, but they're not supposed to do that, right? And now let's go back, right? This was, the summons was made back in July. It was paid for and everything, and the service was executed back in July. This was brought to the attention of the court in August, right? Let's go back to that. So, pretty much, they use that as an excuse to like delay the process. That's like illegal, and they didn't refund the plaintiff. So this is pretty much how the process works, right? You file your complaint with the clerk of courts, whatever county, district, whatever that you're filing your civil complaint in, right? Then you get the summons. In Henry County, it's $50 per defendant. There's 4 defendants in that case, right? Once you pay for that service, right, to the sheriff's department, it goes through the clerk of courts. The clerk of courts prepares the summons, get the complaint. It's like a little packet that they put together in order to serve the defendants in the case. Now, from the clerk of courts, they were supposed to reject it and say, hey, look, the sheriff's department can't serve itself because it's a party to the case. They're clerks of court. They do this every day. They know this stuff. They know a lot about the law. You know what I'm saying? They're not attorneys, but they know a good bit. They're clerks. They deal with paperwork all day long. It's part of their job. Now, it proceeds further. It goes from the clerk of courts over to the secretary or the clerk that handles all the paperwork with the sheriffs and dealing with summons. And it's a wide variety of cases that's going on, right? So the clerk for the sheriff's department gets this paperwork. And then she or he delegates it to an individual deputy. And then that deputy takes the paperwork. And in this particular situation, the deputy didn't even have to fucking leave the building. They didn't have to go anywhere. They served themselves. It was like, here, they took the paperwork. They grabbed the paperwork and was like, here, and like went right there. So here, you're served. And to their own employees in the building. Didn't have to leave off the property. And the only way it was brought to the plaintiff's attention was by the defendants. Or excuse me, the attorney for the defense. Right? And they're saying, oh yeah, it's void. It's, and which is true. You can't do that. If you're a party in the case, you can't serve a summons on it. Actually, let's look at the law. Let's see what that says. Law and process of service. We're gonna go into this a little depth, right? In depth with this. So, with this, summons by whom the summons can serve, process shall be served by, right? The sheriff of the county where the action is brought where the defendant is found by such sheriff deputy. But we're gonna focus on this right here. A person who's not a part of the case. That also applies to the sheriff's department. So even if the sheriff of that county, if they're in that lawsuit, they can't serve themselves. Right? But now let me show you another way. You can actually get a certified service processor to do it, which is really cool, which I really like. Is like it says, no, not a party in the case, not younger than 18 years of age, and has been appointed by the court to serve the process or as a permanent process. So you can actually apply to be a process server. So let's say you have a relative or or friend or anybody that you're dealing with and you're filing a lawsuit yourself pro se. You can actually get your friend, your spouse, anybody, your family, your relative, as long as they're over the age of 18 and they go through the process, stuff like that, to serve the papers on the defendants themselves. And it'll save you a whole bunch of money because it'll be all legit. So waiver of summons, waiver of service. So in order to avoid costs, okay, the person could here it goes. Upon receipt of notice of action and manner in the subsection, the following defendants have the duty to avoid unnecessary costs for service of summons. So what you can do is send the paperwork through statutory mail. Right, here it goes. To avoid costs, the plaintiff may notify the defendant from commencement of action to require the defendant waive of service. It shall be sent. It should be in writing. Addressed directly to the defendant and individuals. Pretty much, you can just send it through mail. Here it goes. Be dispatched through mail or reliable means, pretty much the internet, through email and stuff like that. But it's better you do first class mail to say, hey, look, they got it. There goes the stamp or whatever. And yeah. So now let's go to the conduct, right? So if a public officer is charged under this code for malpractice, and where is it at? Using other deliberate means to delay or avoid due course or proceedings of law, right? That is a crime. It's a misdemeanor. It's a crime, right? Now penalties too. To execute a return and process of order, a court for a court was competent, it will be void, if not void, with due diligence delivered to him purpose. This is what they're supposed to be doing, their duties and stuff like that, right? Now, the liability of the sheriff for damage, right, and the action for contempt, make false returns. So that means you served served yourself as a defendant in the case with a summons that you know that was going to be void, right? And yeah, you can't do that, and it says you can't do that right there in the law. Now, with the city of Lovejoy, right, they was gonna get served too. Let's go back to that. The city of Lovejoy with that lawsuit, right? They got served, or the paperwork, got filled out and went to them. Then the county says, "Oh, well, we can't serve them because it's outside of the jurisdiction," right? And went to the website. On their own website, it says the civil unit is tasked with the responsibility of preparing and serving civil processes received within Henry County courts and county, as well as other jurisdictions. In addition, the process service unit executes court orders such as evictions, writ of process, temporary protective orders, subpoenas, summons, garnishment, probate notices, and collections of judgments issued by the courts, right? And this is all right. They could be like, well, that's just other jurisdictions. We're not, this is not specific, in the jurisdiction, right? So in the law, scroll on down to F, I believe. F. Territorial limits affect as all processes may be made served anywhere within the territorial limits of the state, and whenever the statute provides so, beyond the territorial limits. So it's anywhere within the state you're supposed to be able to serve that summons. So it's a bunch of load of crap that they talk about, bro. These people play a mean game. So pretty much what it all boils down to is they do not want to be served. They have to be served, and they have to be within the jurisdiction of the court in order for the proceedings to continue with these lawsuits, right? And the fact of the matter is, with all the defendants in all these cases, right, once they get served and the cases are consolidated, they're hit. It's going to be summary judgment. They know that. Listen, it's over with. There is no defense to the things that took place within that case at all. And you could see clearly from the things that they're doing, just like the city of Lovejoy, they ran to the federal court. In federal court, if you follow, let me give this, is you could find it, bro. In federal court, if you try to file a lawsuit on any entity, any state, county, city, entity, you will lose. I'm telling you that now. It is by law. You cannot win a case in U.S. District Court against them, period. Okay? It has to be done in state court. That's why the city of Lovejoy ran to the federal court system to try to get, relief there, because they know that they get that blanket of sovereign immunity. They do have it there. But in the state court, if you can show that they violated a civilian's right or a citizen's right or the plaintiff's rights or whatever, then that I can't even get upset. That waiver of sovereign immunity is thrown out the window. They don't have that blanket of protection and stuff like that. And if they don't have any type of defense to fight in the court, and if summary judgment is pretty much within the plaintiff's favor, they're hit. There's not going to even be a trial, period. It's just run that check. That's it. So with the sheriff's office serving themselves, Henry County Sheriff's Office served themselves with a summons, which they didn't even have to leave out the damn building to do. Then on top of that, they didn't stop the process. This is the clear mistake, and this is clear misconduct. There's no excuse for it, and they still have not corrected. They did not refund any of that. There's nothing there. They just took it, $200. And then turn around and said that they can't serve the city of Lovejoy. But by law, they're supposed to be able to serve any summons within that state. Anywhere within that state, they're supposed to serve. Right? And if they do have any type something in writing within their county, say, oh, we don't go outside the jurisdiction, you have to go to this county to, get that done, or whatever the case may be. A lot of the defendants in these cases quit. Why do people quit in their high-paying jobs? Officers just don't quit. State attorneys just don't quit. Government officials that are in charge of managing major records and stuff like that just don't quit for no reason, bro. Right around the time that these lawsuits get filed, and they see this like imminent, if they get these summons and stuff like that, and the proceedings go on, it's over with. There's nothing. Even if the judge was in their pocket, It's by law. That's what the summary judgment is. So just wanted to share that with you guys, man. I know a lot of people come across this content and stuff like that, and I don't want to. This channel was supposed to be so much more positive stuff, but it's crazy the stuff that they get away with, bro. And I'm tired, and I'm frustrated. I'm mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. Like, and this is the thing, right? Put yourself in this situation. Imagine if this was you, and everybody that you know, everybody that you come in contact with, is pretty much working with these people. They have unlimited resources, unlimited everything. They can do whatever they want to, and nobody's gonna check them. Like, if you go to internal affairs on these people and they're gonna investigate themselves and they all corrupt, how the hell does that work before it even gets to post? You see what I'm saying? And even if you can't even go to the GBI, and you can't even go to the higher ups because they're dirty as hell. Trust me when I say that they're super dirty. They'll do anything. They don't care. I shouldn't even say this like this, but just like in the movies, whenever there's a major conspiracy, the one that's at the heart of it, that's really, say, one trying to prove the innocence and try to fight for justice and stuff like that, they're gonna smear them. They're gonna put them all over the news, say this, that, and the third, and make up a whole bunch of fucking lies. You see what I'm saying? Or just straight up kill them. They didn't try. Oh boy, they didn't try. Try to set a fool up and all type of shit. And the mental part of it, being able to sit back and absorb this legal work and interpret it.
This is serious business.
And put it to use. It takes you to a mental headspace. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be straight up. I'm gonna scratch all this right. When you've been incarcerated and you're fighting your case, and you know you're trying to gain your freedom or prove your innocence, and you was wrongly convicted, or they just violate a whole bunch of your rights, and then you do a bunch of time based off of wrong conviction, a false conviction, wrongly convicted, and you get out and then you run into a situation like this, and you would think that your family and friends would be there to support you, and then they take the sides of your enemy. You take the sides of these people, and they're just doing whatever the fuck they want to. You know what I'm saying? And they're sending your own friends and family at you to sabotage what you got going on, or to try to set you up, and using them as pretty much a human shield, because they're like, if this person, given the circumstances and the things that took place that just not public knowledge, which is fucking insane, this person is liable to react in a way that would benefit the opposition, because then they could be like, oh yeah, good, he's locked up, or she's locked up, they snapped out and they did something physically to this person. Now we ain't got to pay them, they're gone, this person's locked up, whatever the case may be. It takes you to a headspace that is not good. I'm gonna be just straight up with you, and it is you relive those moments and relive it with every keystroke and every paperwork file and everything, and it takes you back to all the bad stuff, just all of the madness, the craziness, the lockdown, the terrible food, the fights, the violence, just the insanity. Because when you're in that particular situation, you're literally treated like an animal, and I know firsthand, bro, it is not cool at all. I'm gonna tell you like this. The worst part of being incarcerated, let me back up. One thing that I could take from being incarceration is patience, and having perseverance through the hardest time, because you're broken down to the lowest common denominator of your humanity, bro. I'm talking about the strip searches, the way running in your room 3 o'clock in the morning, tearing your cell up, and you got to clean up, and then seeing that same officers, they did that shit the next day at breakfast or lunch, and they're smiling at you like, yeah, you sleep good, say some smart ass remark. And the crazy part about it, in certain institutions, if you physically do something to them, they get 45 days paid leave. and you get like 5 more years added on to your sentence for punching them in their shit for being a smart ass. You know? And I'm not gonna get into detail, but I believe, with me personally, one of my worst experiences in prison was having a dream that I'm free. And it was a long dream, and I ate some food, and I could smell shit, and I could feel the grass in my toes, and everything was okay. And then I got woke up to chow call, chow call, chow chow. And I didn't even go. I just laid in bed. I didn't even have a fucking pillow. I just laid in bed and cried. Because I had like, 6 more years to do? Or some shit like that. And I had to put up with that shit for another 6 years. We're only convicted. So, with that said, yeah. I hope you guys took something from this. This shit's crazy. This shit's crazy, man. Thank you for watching. I'm out.